This is the peculiar collectible miniature arcade machine you were all here to see. But I open with really the mother of all unflattering comparisons. When this thing came out, everyone said it wasn't good enough. That's enough out of you, Pac-Man. Honestly, the nerve of these people. Everyone said this wasn't good enough for two reasons. One, the joystick wasn't good enough. And two, the screen. The screen wasn't good enough. Well, guess what? The joystick is immeasurably worse, and the screen is incomparably worse. It's terrible. So in a world where this little device was given such a hard time, and understandably so, all this does is collect dust here. I absolutely never play it. How generous can we possibly be in evaluating the miniature Atari 50th anniversary Nano arcade unit? The screen size, you will see, is smaller than what you have here from Neo Geo. It's also smaller than what you get with the Pocket Player. Most likely, there's also going to be a price difference. Whether or not that difference in screen size matters to you is another question. The fundamental problem, as I explained at some length in my earlier video, has to do with the screen quality. So I'm just going to briefly so you get double inputs here. It's very difficult for me to go one entry at a time, whether that's left to right or vertically. Very often you press down once and it moves down twice. Likewise for going left to right. I'm trying to page through, but the joystick is so bad, I can't get it to consistently move one page at a time. This gives you a sense of just how bad the joystick is. The main thing aesthetically I dislike about the joystick is actually what people call the dead zone, the neutral area. That's much, infinitely better here. Infinitely better. And, there's no comparison with this kind of simple D-pad. I mentioned in my earlier video that this game, Pac-Mania, is unplayably awful because of the screen tearing and the shimmering. Shimmering, you can look it up, is a unique form of flickering that comes up with video game emulation, and it hurts your eyes. I remember a review of the Game Boy, the original black and white Game Boy from many years ago. Another size comparison here. Game Boy Color, slightly larger screen than what you get here in the Atari 50th. I remember a British magazine reviewing the Game Boy, and at that time the comparison was to the Sega Game Gear and so on. And I remember it saying, look, ultimately, there's only so much I can say about a console that hurts your eyes. Well, I can say the same thing here today. If it actually hurts my eyes to look at it, I am probably going to have to send this back and ask for a refund. Did you see the screen tearing there? The screen tearing, it's terrible. The screen tearing is abominable. It's absolutely horrible. Screen tearing is not a problem for the original arcade Pac-Man on a plain black background with no scrolling, etc., right? Screen tearing is not a problem for the original Galaga and Galaxian, but it is a problem for Xevious. Screen tearing and even worse, shimmering are terrible, terrible problems for NES games, Sega Genesis games that feature scrolling, and even for Solaris here, a 2600 game, but that has more complex graphics, more of the screen moving. The company can't get away with what they managed to get away with in rendering the simplest black background games, non-scrolling games with a plain black background on other systems. Okay, you heard it here first. That's a wrap.